Welcome to Range Time. I'm your host Ghost, and today we'll be talking about post-drill performance analysis. To do so, we're going to shoot a couple of different drills and talk about what we're seeing in the user interface and what those different circle colors mean or different scores, and see if we can't dissect, okay, we can do this or that better, or just for our comparison's sake over time. So to get started, we'll go ahead and head to drills. And we'll just start out with an easy one to analyze, fast choice. So here we are on the stage, fast choice. We can see that we're engaging 2 paper targets and a steel target. We have a 5 round count. It's a hard limit because it's red and underlined, and it wants us to start facing down range. As always, we can use the pistol to select a practice run or a ranked run, or we can just press the B button or press and hold the B button to do a ranked run. You can see that indicated on the diagram just above the ranked run here. So for our purposes today, we're going to be doing some analysis of a run after we've shot it. We're going to be starting from a low ready position to get warmed up, and we'll go ahead and just take a couple of whacks at this and see how we do.
Stand by.
Okay. So once we're done shooting a stage, unless there's a stop plate or other stop condition, we have to press the B button. So we'll go ahead and do that. Now there's a lot of information to analyze here, so we're going to walk through them all in kind of the order that I look at them. So the first thing that we're going to be looking at here is our first hit. So hit 1, right? That's how fast we reacted to the timer, in this case from a low ready position. And that's going to give us a 0.57 time to our first hit. From there we can look at hit 2 and the split time, so confirming our sights again, getting good follow through, taking that second shot on that first target. We can see our total time at that point was 0.72 and our split time was a 0.15. Now on hit number 3, there's a transition in there from target 1 to target 2. It's a pretty close transition, so we have a split time going from this target on the left to the target on the right of a 0.27. Again, the top time is our total time up to that point. Hit number 4, we took a split again of a 0.16, so that's how fast it's taking me to make sure that my sights are still in the acceptable zone and pulling the trigger again. And then for the 5th shot that we see here, it was a transition a little lower to our steel target. We can see that my transitions on this stage pretty consistent, around a 0.27, not burning it down, just going at a comfortable pace. And my split times are about a 0.15, 0.14, pretty consistent there as well. We see that all these hits here are green. The reason why is because they're in the A zone or the alpha zone, or it hit the steel to knock it over, so that'll count as a hit. The other colors we'll demonstrate in a little bit correlate to the points. So in this case, if we move over just a little bit, and we look up at our score here on fast choice, we can see that we had points equal to 25. So each one of the green hits counts as 5 points. There were no penalties. We were good to go there. So that's where that score comes from. The other zones, when we're looking at them, we've got the K zone on a PCSL target is here. The A zone is here. The C zone is here. And the D zone is here. The K zone, you only have to shoot once to count for a double alpha, so 10 points. The A zone, you have to shoot twice. The C zone, when you go out into this range here, you're going to get 3 points for a hit. And the D zone, you're going to get 1. Over on the USPSA target, kind of the same thing. In the center, we'll line up right on it so I can explain it. You've got an A zone here for 5 points, a C zone here for 3 points, and a D zone here for 1 point. There's also another A zone up here in the head box that's worth 5 points, so when there are targets that may have a no-shoot cutting them in half here across the neck, potentially, you can aim for the eye box, and you can get those 5 points that way. Steel targets, pretty much just have to knock them over. It's either you knock them over or you didn't. Unless it's a static steel plate, in which case you hit it or you didn't. Here on our scoreboard, we can also see that my accuracy was 100%. My precision was 100% because I got all A zone hits, so when they're both 100%, you're doing pretty good. And my speed was actually fairly low for me on this stage, but it's indicated by this down arrow that on average I'm faster on this stage. If we look here, we see my hit factor. That's calculated by taking the total number of points and dividing it by our time, and that'll give us our hit factor. We can see my all-time best is a 2379. I'm not going to lie, that may have been gaming it from a low ready and trying to jump the gun, but it's just something that I compare against and go, okay, at a normal, comfortable pace, I am about a half a second slower than my best time overall. If we had any misses, those would be noted here, along with any penalties, which, if we had any, we could click this down arrow here and it would expand those so I could see what I was doing wrong. If I like this stage, I can go up here to this heart and favorite it, and it'll allow it to cycle through in my favorites when I'm doing quick play and things like that. So if you ever want to come back to only your favorites or something, or if you really like that stage, it's worth putting a little heart on it. That way when you come back using quick play or your favorite filters, it rules out any other stages that you've not marked with that little heart. To get rid of the heart, say you're working on a couple of set of stages, just click it again and it goes away. We'll move over and take a look at the scoreboard. So the leaderboard here, we can do a couple of things, which is pretty neat. First, it's the start of the week, so the scoreboards for the practice get reset on Mondays. And we can see just on my cold run, I came in 43rd overall for the people who shot it today. And you can use this bar here to move up and down to see how many people have shot it at the time that you shot it. It'll give you your hit factor and a colored ribbon based on your hit factor ranking. So if it's platinum, it'll be this purple color here. If it was cyan, it would be a diamond run. If it was red, it would be an ace run. The colors correspond to the ranks for the seasons, so you can kind of see how you're doing there. It'll have your name highlighted in red along with your hit factor so you know which line you're on. And then it has various symbols as well next to your name, such as, did you use teleportation or were you just moving? In our case, we didn't teleport. Are you using the handsets from Ace, or are you using the controller from Meta? So that's something that you can filter on. Are you using a red dot, or are you using irons? In this case, the red dot is shown here, so I could filter by that. And are you using infinite ammo, or are you using reloads? All those things are able to be filtered at the top. So we're going to back up a little bit, and then I'll show you how to do some filtering. Okay, now that we've backed up a little bit, I can filter out by these tags here. What I do is I go up to this little drop down here, and I can select if I want to only compare myself to people who didn't teleport, or maybe people who were using an optic or iron sights. Maybe I want people who only have infinite ammo and a handset. No matter what I pick here, it will display itself on the leaderboard. So in my case for this run, I was a no teleport, I used an optic with infinite ammo, and I'm using the handset. So if I go ahead and click up here to tags again, it looks like I came in 25th out of people using the same tags for this stage. And again, with the practice leaderboards, it's important to realize these reset weekly. So if you're looking at it towards the end of the week, you might have dropped down a couple of ranks, or with more people, there would be more people to compare yourself against. In this case, with those tags, there's only 46 people that have shot this stage this week. So just something to consider there. And again, you can see the highest rating for this week already at a 29.74 hit factor. That's pretty quick. You can do the calculations yourself if you think that's achievable. So in this case, this individual shooting all 3 targets, 5 shots in less than 1 second. Kind of gives you a way to analyze, is this a realistic potentially, or is this something that's just lucky, maybe jumping the gun? Not saying that Craig here did that, but just saying when it gets to be these really, really high hit factors, there is an easy way you can kind of determine if it's realistic or not, just by taking the total number of points. And if that's the hit factor, it means they're doing it less than 1 second. Or if their hit factor is higher than the total number of points, they're doing it in less than 1 second. Depending on the number of shots, the distance of engagement, a lot of other factors, you decide for yourself if that's realistic or not. We'll go ahead and clear our filters here to bring back the entire leaderboard. So while we're in the shooting box, if we look to our left, we can also see the practice leaderboard overall with just the hit factor and our name and our total rank for the week. Again, it'll correlate to the leaderboard that we see with the additional statistics, but if you just want a quick reference, a quick check, seeing where you're at, you can go ahead and look over here on the left. And again, you have this little up and down capability where if you click half press the trigger on it, you can move up and down and see, okay, there was 149 people that have shot this week. there are, the high hit factors of 29.74, and you'll find your name in red, looking at mine with a 43. Over here on the ranked leaderboard, these only reset once per season. A season is definitely longer than a week, so looking at mine here, we're looking at a 23.57 total hit factor, and that's about a 1.05 second run for 3 targets with 5 shots. So if you do the math on splits and everything, you can decide for yourself if that's realistic. Looking up here though at a 40.53, that means that all those hits are alphas. The steal was knocked down, and it was less than 0.75 seconds to do the entire thing. So again, realistically, is that achievable? You can go ahead and do the math and decide for yourself, but take it with a grain of salt when you see some of those higher hit factors. The thing that I would recommend is just see if you're improving over time, right? Have a goal for yourself to be like, hey, I'm going to improve my ranked hit factor by 10% by the end of the season or something like that. And you'll find that you're going to do better overall than comparing yourself to those top scores that may or may not be achievable using good fundamentals. We're back here on fast choice because I want to show you also the different types of hits that occur and what those look like on the targets when you do them. So we'll go ahead and do a practice run.
Stand by.
We'll do a hit to the A zone, a hit to the C zone, a hit to the B zone, a hit to the A zone up top here, and kind of the same thing on the PCSL. I'll have a near miss on the steal, so just over the top, and I'll go ahead and nail it. We'll go ahead and end our run. Let's see. Yeah, it didn't pick up the near misses on the steal, but we do have a lot of data here to analyze, so we'll go ahead and work through these one by one. Okay, so our first hit on the leftmost target is in the A zone, so it has that green outline telling us that we have 5 points. If we go ahead and half press the trigger, it moves on to the next hit, telling us that we're in the C zone. That's why it's yellow. We have 3 points for that hit. The third hit is going to be a D zone hit, worth only 1 point, so maybe slow down a little bit if you're getting a lot of D zone hits. Work to get those A zone hits and maybe a couple of Charlies, depending on how fast you're trying to go. Our fourth hit is in the upper A zone, so the I box. If you have a target that's preventing you from shooting at the center of the target itself, you can aim at the head box and get that A zone hit up there. If you were to hit just below that or outside of that etched in area that looks like the I box, you would get a Charlie hit. Over here on the PCSL target, we have an A zone hit that's going to give us green again, so 5 points. A Charlie hit that would give us 3 points. A orange hit that would give us 1 point. A D hit. We also have a K zone hit, which again, if you shoot the K zone, you only have to shoot that target once. Instead of the best 2 hits on that paper, it'll take the K zone and count it as 2 A zone hits. So sometimes it's worth going for that head box shot versus putting 2 in the A zone. Try out different approaches and see what works better for you. And hopefully you find a way that works best. Over here on the steal, again, a green zone hit. Sometimes when you're shooting steel or even paper targets, if you come close but miss, so like on swingers or just moving fast, it'll have a red kind of shot split annotation like this. It'll be in red. That's pretty much just showing you that you missed the target, and it'll give you your split time. Try to avoid that as best you can. If you find that you're getting a lot of red on your course of fire, slow down. It's also red if you have a penalty, so if you shoot a no-shoot target, it's going to appear red, and it'll show your split time as well. But when you see those, treat that as a sign that you have something to correct and work on preventing those from occurring in the future on your next drill. Something to mention here, with all of these hits on these targets, we can still see over on the right with our points, there's still only 25. That's because it takes the 2 best hits on paper, unless it's a K-zone hit on the PCSL target. So just because we hit 30 hits on the paper, it doesn't mean we're going to get all those points. It'll just be the best 2. So if you're shooting a fast course of fire and you know that one of your shots missed or one of your shots was a delta, and you can quickly make up that shot, take that shot and try and get a better hit. So you can get, for example, 2 alphas instead of an alpha and a Charlie or an alpha and a delta. Don't waste too much time though, because again, hit factors that points divided by time game, so you got to kind of balance that. But it's just something to remember. If you wail away on them, yeah, you may get more accuracy or a better score out of it, but that time's clicking away and degrading your hit factor, and that's what you're going to be graded on overall. So just something to consider there too when you're doing your practice. Here we are in the stage Tight Squeeze. It's a USPSA classifier in which you engage all paper targets with 2 rounds each, perform a mandatory reload, and then re-engage all paper targets with two rounds each. With this one, the reload is not necessarily realistic to real life because you're not going for that magazine, bringing the gun up into your workspace at a good angle, dropping the magazine, indexing, putting it home, the whole bit. It's a lot easier to just boom and the gun's reloaded, right? So what's going to happen with this type of thing is I would encourage you in real life timing your reloads with a shot timer. So you can see, with either the par time or real live fire, what are your reloads realistically? Because you'll see in here, my reload time is going to be relatively quick, and in real life, I'm maybe around a second to a second and a half reload, depending on numerous factors. But we'll see in this example, it may not be exactly comparative to the real life because I'm not indexing, I'm not bringing the magazine off my belt, I'm not sending it home and then reacquiring the target. So we'll go ahead and run this stage, and we'll take a look at some other instances of how shooting maybe a no-shoot or shooting some hard cover can impact our scores and what that looks like.
Stand by.
Okay. So that run, you can see, was a pretty decent run, all A-zone hits. A little slow on reacquiring the sights after coming back off the reload. That would have been hit number 7, I believe. Yeah, so we have a split time there of 1.45. So in real life, if I had that messed up grip, maybe didn't get my sights quite right, it probably would have been a little bit longer. So I use this as an index for where my reaction time to the stimulus is. So we'll go ahead and focus on hit number 7. So when I fired my 6th shot on target number 3, it was less than 4.15 since that's our total time. Let's go back to 6 actually. There we go. So at this point, 270 to get all my hits on all these targets. Not too bad, right, for all alpha zone hits. Well, from 270, that was my stimulus. I know I need to reload. ACE is helping me with that stimulus to be able to respond to it. Is it the same as I would in real life? No, but it's responding to that stimulus. Need to reload, do it now. And how fast can I do that? And how fast can I reacquire my sights? So just something to consider here when you're utilizing it as a training tool. The reloads, take with a grain of salt. In this case, I probably would have been a little bit longer in real life just because of a bad grip. But it does tell me my split time there, so 1:45 on the reload. If we sit here and we look at all the split times too, so shot to shot, we have around a 0.16, a 0.20, a 0.20, a 0.17. So taking it kind of nice and easy with the wanting to get the A-zone hits, not wanting to hit the no-shoot targets or the tuxedo in the back. We can see that that's kind of where my performance level is at. We can also see my transition times, so those are the little bit of lengthier ones. If we're looking at shot number 3, for example, that's the transition to the tuxedo. We can see that split time. We'll go ahead and move up. Was a 0.61 to reacquire that, right? The split time after that was a 0.20, so that's the follow-on shot into the tuxedo. Transition over here was a 0.48. It's a little easier of a transition. I have a lot more favorability to the right on this one. And the split time was a 0.17 again. I can favor the right-hand side a little bit more than just the tuxedo. We have the reloads occurring behind me, but when we get up to shot number 9, which is the next one on the tuxedo, we can see again taking a little more time to make sure I'm getting those A-zone hits and not hitting the black, which is considered hard cover. We have the we have the negligent discharge and the disqualifying shot there, but we have a split here of 0.19, right? So again, making sure those sights are on target. We can see here my transition over was a 0.42, so a little faster again because I have a bit more target here to play with. And a 0.17 split, again, faster than my 0.20 on the tuxedo because more target area exposed. Okay. So for tight squeeze, again, there's some examples that I'm going to show you of hitting a no-shoot target as well as hitting the hard cover. It's going to demonstrate what I mean by the red that'll show up when you shoot these drills.
Stand by.
Okay. So we can see, because my brain had a fart when it's like, hey, you got to reload now. Again, responding to that stimulus because I'm thinking about, okay, I have to hit the no-shoots and I have to hit the hard cover to show the point. In this case, 0 hit factor because there's no points left because of the penalties. We can expand on the penalties and see that targets were hit too many times. Not really sure about that one. The guys at Ace might want to check that out. There were still 12 total shots, so kind of interesting. The no-shoot targets hit, yeah, definitely hit 2 of them on purpose and missed the target, absolutely. 1 for the no-shoot here on the right, 1 for the no-shoot here on the left, and 1 for the hard cover in the back. Analyzing this target here, we can see my first shot was deliberately on the no-shoot target. It's outlined in red. It's not only going to give me a penalty for it, it's also going to take away essentially 5 points from missing the alpha zone, or really any points if I got a Charlie or a Delta. So those are really detrimental to your score, and you want to avoid those pretty much at all costs. If we go ahead and teleport to the back here and look at our tuxedo, we can see that the hardcover shot here in the black is going to be red as well, but it won't give us a penalty. We just lose the points that we could have got. So this is less detrimental, but still not preferable. So when you start seeing a lot of this red all over your screen, take some time and analyze what you're doing. Maybe slow it down a little bit. Get those alphas, get those points up there, and you'll see your hit factors go up. When you feel comfortable getting all alphas or all alphas and a couple of Charlies, that's when you can start pushing speed. That's when you can start working on getting faster at the drill and getting a higher hit factor. Here we are on the stage Lefty Loosey. Something I want to show and I think is really important to note here in Ace is that teleporting can either save you a ton of time or it can cost you a ton of time. In my situation, I have a very limited movement space. My boundary is not very big. I have to teleport unless it's a step to the left or a step to the right, unless I want to go through the wall and do my best Kool-Aid guy impression, right? So in this stage, it's pretty large and we actually have to move around. So the first set of targets here, I can engage from within the boundary, pretty much just by leaning over to the right and engaging those, no problem. But the ones all the way over to the left, if I were to run over there, definitely going to crash right into the wall. The ones up to the front, not going to be a good time for me either. So when you see some people doing the teleporting versus the non-teleporting, how fast do you think you can run however far this is? I'm going to say 12, 15 feet, right? Do you think it's in the blink of an eye like this? I don't think so. So just something to consider too when people are doing teleporting versus actually working the space. 2 different sets of skills are being applied here. 2 different mechanisms that are going to yield different results. We'll go ahead and teleport back to where we started. And looking downrange here, we'll do a run and I'll talk about that with analyzing those splits again and kind of being realistic with myself. How long would it take me to run from position A, where I'm currently at, over to my left, which I'll call position B, and then run forward to position C.
Stand by.
So coming up, engaging, looking over to my left, hitting the teleport button, staying within inside the boundary, leaning out to my left, engaging. Okay, moving forward here, which you could be shooting on the move, but we're going to be teleporting, engaging these ones. Okay. Not exactly a fast performance, but more to demonstrate the movement and how those splits are going to play out. So let's go ahead and end the drill. And we will teleport back and take a look at what those splits look like. Okay, so the indexing of the splits was to where I was positionally ending the stage. But hit number 7 was our split in moving from position A to position B. That took 7.16 seconds. Now, can I teleport faster than that? Absolutely. But I could also run faster than that for that short distance, maybe 10 feet. It's something that you can kind of analyze and go, if I had the space, would I be faster on this drill or would I be slower on this drill? It's something worth considering, especially when there's multiple positions that you're going to be putting yourself in. So in your real life, when you're going into those positions, you can start coming out on the gun before you get into position, already looking at the target and engaging it before your last foot kind of hits the position that you want to end in, right? And getting that good shooting stance. So you may find yourself being taxed with the teleporting because it's just not exactly intuitive sometimes, or you may find that it's actually benefiting you and you're going much faster than you could in real life. Just something that you want to consider when looking at these stage scores, looking at those times, really digesting and analyzing, okay, is this realistic for me? Or am I perhaps seeing results that are not conducive to what I can perform like in real life? We'll go ahead and transition over to our other targets to take a quick look at those. Here we are at our other set of targets. The transition from position B to position C was 6.84 seconds. Again, if you were shooting this target on the move, which you likely could do in this stage because you're moving forward at it, maybe that's less time, maybe it's more time, depending on your mobility and your physical fitness levels. Just something, again, to think about when you're doing the stage. So we're going to run it one more time, a little more how I would actually run it with teleportation, and we'll see what that time looks like. I just want to note here, on the last time we ran the stage, our hit factor was a 4.54 and our total time was almost 20 seconds. With a little bit of talking, showing how to teleport around this stage in the different positions, getting some good split times to talk about. We're going to see that how I would actually run it using teleporting is going to annihilate that. And hopefully we get all alphas again, get all the points, but we'll see how that goes. But we'll see what maybe a more unrealistic time would look like versus if I were actually moving in real space. So let's go ahead and give it a shot.
Stand by.
Okay. So even with several Charlie hits, not really good grip going from position A to position B, we can still see that the hit factor was way higher. It was because the time was less than half. Now, our hit number 13 here, for example, is off of our position B to position C transition. Could I run 15 feet in 1.61 seconds? Probably not. Being realistic. However, is it something that I could do maybe on the move where I get halfway up and I take those shots because I feel confident in those? Yeah, that might be something that I could do. So it's something that I'll kind of keep a mental note of, or even double tap my headset and write down, okay, on Lefty Loosey, if I decide to set this up in real life, my transition time to run from position B to position C, am I looking at 5 seconds? Am I looking at 2 seconds? What's realistic for me, and what can I do to improve that, right? So I hope that gives you a little bit of a better idea on how to analyze your post-shooting performance here in ACE, and gives you some ideas on areas that you can focus on, whether that be your transition speed, your split speed, your teleporting or movement speed. Breaking those drills down and analyzing those are really what's going to allow you to get better over time, rather than just throwing lead down range without really understanding, okay, I need to work on this skill or that feature of this platform. It'll transition to real life as well. You'll see that the areas that you're weak in ACE probably are the areas that you're weak in real life, and those should be areas that you should consider focusing more time and effort on. Thanks for joining me today, and we'll see you next time on Range Time.